Excalibur is the legendary sword of King Arthur, wielder of the Round Table. It is said to have been given to him by the Lady of the Lake and has become a symbol of courage and power. Excalibur was a powerful weapon, capable of cutting through any material, and was said to be unbreakable. It has been featured in countless stories, including the original Arthurian legends and modern interpretations. The power of Excalibur lies in its symbolism, as it symbolizes Arthur's strength and leadership. It also speaks to his courage, as he was willing to take on any challenge and fight for what was right. Even after his death, the sword is said to have returned to the Lady of the Lake, which speaks to its power and ability to overcome even death itself. Excalibur is a legendary symbol of courage and strength, and its story will continue to inspire generations to come. According to legend, King Arthur received Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake. The story goes that when Arthur became king, he traveled to a mystical lake and met a beautiful woman who emerged from the water holding a sword aloft. She offered him the sword, which was said to have magical powers and was the finest sword in all the land. The Lady of the Lake presented Excalibur to Arthur on the condition that he use it for the greater good and uphold justice and chivalry. In some versions of the legend, the Lady of the Lake also takes back Excalibur when Arthur is mortally wounded, symbolizing the end of his reign. In Arthurian legend, the Lady of the Lake was considered the mother of Lancelot and the partner of Merlin, and that she acted under the orders of Merlin, the wizard who gave magical advice to Arthur. The story of King Arthur and Excalibur has been told in many different ways over the centuries, and the details of the story may vary depending on the source. However, the basic elements of the story remain the same, with Excalibur being a symbol of Arthur's right to rule and his commitment to justice and honor. One legend narrates that King Arthur's Excalibur was initially stuck to a stone. For years, it remained firmly fixed to the stone while living in the hope that anyone who successfully removed it was bound to become the next ruler of England. That was a daunting task, but it was definitely worth a shot. Many people attempted to pull the sword out in order to secure the English throne. However, the sword remained stuck in the same position, despite several removal attempts from the strongest men on the planet at that time. Finally, one man was able to surprise Excalibur. It was the legendary King Arthur who went and effortlessly uprooted the sword. Another tale suggests that Excalibur had its origin from water. At this point, it is certainly surprising that one Excalibur was able to come from the land and at the same time, from water. Maybe we shouldn't doubt it, that would not be an impossible thing for a magical sword such as Excalibur. According to literary publications from Thomas Malory, King Arthur secured the sword from Lady of the Lake. In Arthurian legend, the Lady of the Lake was considered the mother of Lancelot and the partner of Merlin. The legend goes on to say that the mysterious lady from the watery world gave Excalibur to King Arthur. She acted under the orders of Merlin, the wizard who gave magical advice to Arthur. It is speculated that the Dosmery Pool in Cornwall, England is believed to be the habitat of the Lady of the Lake. According to the legend, the lake had no bottom, it was deep all the way down. Unfortunately, this is not true today. The water level in the Dosmery Pool has a depth limit that measures a few feet. Sometimes it even dries up. It is said that King Arthur's sword had great powers in it. With it, he fought and won many wars. Even though there are different versions of Excalibur's story, the element of magical power unites all of them in truth. In Geoffrey's writings, King Arthur led the Britons in a war against the Saxons. When he drew out his Caliburnus, Excalibur, Arthur slew hundreds of his enemies. According to Thomas Mallory's writings, Arthur was initially defeated by King Lot and was rescued by his knights. The situation changed when Arthur drew out his Excalibur. It shone out brightly, equaling the illumination produced by 30 flashlights. Arthur then defeated the Saxons mercilessly with his sword. In the early part of the 6th century, legend has it that King Arthur fought his final battle, the Battle of Camlan. The aftermath of the battle saw King Arthur severely injured. His opponent was the rebellious nephew of his, Mordred. The story goes on to say that, the dying Arthur instructed one of his knights, Sir Bedivere, to throw the Excalibur into a lake. Initially, the knight hesitated to throw away such a powerful weapon. Finally, when he threw it into the lake, a hand emerged from the water and grabbed the sword. The mysterious hand, adorned with roses, waved the Excalibur and vanished below the water. The legend concludes that the Lady of the Lake had claimed back the sword she once bestowed on King Arthur. Despite this, legend of Arthur and Excalibur is mostly thought to be mythology with no truth. There are some who believe Arthur was a real king with a sword that he wielded with such power and talent that they wrote tales about it, and some who believe the sword was found not too long ago by a 7-year-old girl. The young girl came across a sword thought to have been King Arthur's Excalibur. Believe it or not, in 2017, Matilda Jones, while swimming in the Dosmery Pool in Cornwall, miraculously bumped into a sword which measured 4 feet. The family were there for a visit to the supposed site where the Excalibur was thrown into. Coincidentally, her dad narrated the legend of King Arthur to his daughter before their trip. The discovery was received with mixed feelings by lovers of Arthurian literature. King Arthur's real existence has been a debatable topic for centuries and decades, let alone his sword and its discovery. What do you think of the legend of one of the world's most famous swords, if not the most famous one, and was it just a legend? Or did it belong to a mighty king so great at the art of sword fighting that his enemies and allies believe only magic and sorcery could explain such great power and strength? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and leave a like if you enjoyed this tale and want to hear about more weapons from history, real or mythical, with interesting stories and legends.